This sounds like a comic book event. DC gets decimated, but no, really, DC gets decimated by AT&T. It's been well, to quote Bleeding Cool, it's been a bloodbath.
Yeah, and Bleeding Cool's quoting a lot of people, like insiders or people in the know, telling them. So, and it's multiple people, so it's not nice. And also, you should probably mention it's not just DC they're going after; it's the entirety of Warner Brothers, because AT&T is a terrible company and they're like 200 billion in debt, and they have no way of recouping that, so they're just selling and slashing what they do own.
Now, it's amazing, to put it into perspective, that they were able to acquire WB and all the assets, and they're in $200 billion debt. That's quite clearly massive, and every month it's getting worse because, hey, look at what's happening. And I kind of do want to point out the hypocrisy you see online. Everybody's sharing the articles. Disney posts first quarterly loss in 20 years. Is this the end of Disney? Meanwhile, the company doing far worse, AT&T WB, literally, like, it's on.
They're having a struggle.
So to put it in perspective, everybody's doing bad. AT&T is really bad off, though. And what's happened is, well, the DC, the in-house toy manufacturing and collectibles, that's gone. I think some of the value of some of their most recent products that shipped right before this will probably be high in a few years because, again, there is collectibles there that people will want to get their hands on. Obviously, the comic side of things has seen a big shakeup.
So I think the comic side of things is going to be the thing that suffers the most.
Oh, yeah.
Because DC Universe took a hit as well, but I think everyone has seen the writing on that wall for that streaming service. There's even a quote in a THR article of all places saying the second AT&T merged with Warner Media, that service was dead.
Yeah,
there's no value in the service goodbye, and how it's still around I don't know, but they just mining it for whatever the three things it's done. They're just gonna mine it and then can't shut it down.
I mean, it's just literally should have already been taken off the life support it's on, but they're just collecting any $7 a month subs that might be there that forgot to cancel because it's just revenue coming in. And I mean, you can watch Krypton Season 2 on there exclusively now, so that's...
Yeah, that'll be on HBO Max in a week.
Exactly.
And then Peacock in a month.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good jab at them. Not even intentional, but it's so true. Goddamn.
Because this is what else I don't get. Like, they're clearly... AT&T, I think they're doing things really strangely over there. Because apparently they told HBO when they actually got everything that they don't care what they actually put out. They just want, content because the HBO brand is the value, not the content, which... It's a bit weird. If HBO start putting out crap, people are going to associate HBO with crap.
I was going to say that it's literally the complete opposite. HBO has always been synonymous with high quality, and the moment bad quality shows up, it wrecks the reputation, which is why they were so careful on producing only a couple shows, but those shows were top of the line. So, I think AT&T, honestly, I understand why they're doing it. That's why, they want to get rid of Warner Media Interactive, which they gave the worst blanket statement I've ever heard in regards to this sale. They're like, well, they're still part of our portfolio. That's nothing. That is nothing. It's... Yeah. How unfortunate. And, I think DC finds themselves in this position because, they're obviously not the most profitable brand.
No, and that's not you're biased. It's not that sort of a thing. You can literally look at the numbers. I know you shouldn't use Comic Con as the be all and end all of comic sales, but if you compare, just take DC out of everything else and compare DC to the industry as a whole. DC had been stagnant for the last 10 years. That's why you've seen things like the New 52 and Rebirth really close together, and why they're constantly trying to do massive things like that. Whereas everything else had a very steady growth. DC has just been
Right.
But I don't think over the last 10 years they've grown like 100 million. I don't think they've changed that much, or like even 10 million. It's pretty dire.
Mm-hmm. And like you look at that, and if you look at the TV side of things as well, like there's been major shakeups on executives, people running channels, and people should recognize. Well, if you're old enough like I am, like in 2000, the Warner Time Media AOL merger, when that happened, that sent ripples through the industry, and that fundamentally changed how WB operated from that point on out. We're in another position like that again, except this time it's bigger because it's a bigger entity with more voice and sway of power. And back in the day, obviously, I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. WCW was the number 2, even number 1 brand at the time for pro wrestling. AOL took over and said, "Yeah, whatever, get rid of them." And they just got rid of him, sold him to Vince McMahon for $5 million, I believe. Like, it was so, again, there's a changing of power here, and we don't know if 6 months from now, when they appoint a new guy to look over everything at DC and stuff, that he's not going to look at the bottom line and go, wait, we're spending, and I'm just going to spitball here, he's going to go, so we're spending $20 million a year on printing comics. Yes, but 70% of that revenue is only Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So why is this other percentage here? Get rid of all of it. Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to cut back. And I think you're already seeing this from a lot of people within the industry, artists and stuff, already talking about how this is bad. Because I think the writing on the wall is for them that they're probably not going to be here a year to 2 from now. Because, again, they're going to keep the big hitters. Sure, keep printing Batman because people buy anything Batman is on. Guess who ain't going to sell a comic? Aquaman and Booster Gold. Because it's like, whatever, like, these guys, they're not moving as many units, so why keep printing them? I think that's kind of a worrisome because it's not good. I don't particularly read everything DC, but it has its fan base that reads some of this smaller stuff.
I'm saying it's one of the big 2.
Yeah,
like they've never dropped to the third image because they're the big 2. They have that popularity. They're like the oldest ones. But I think apparently Jim Lee's supposed to be taking over everything. I think originally it was being reported that he was being shuffled out, but I think shuffled out of what he's doing now into something more.
Yeah,
I think there's a bit of confusion with what was going on because when it all dropped, it was just chaos. I don't think anyone really knew what was going on. But even with Jim Lee in charge of everything, he's going to be hamstrung by the higher ups at AT&T.
Oh, he's going to have. Yeah,
they're going to be like, no, you get rid of this now.
Yeah, he's going to be. To put it into a term people might understand, he's going to be the Jeff Loeb to the Kevin Feige, where, he's like, hey, can I do this? And the guy above him just goes, no, we intend to do something with that. And he goes, oh. Well, what can I do? They're like, well, we don't intend to do anything with this piece of scrap over here. You can touch that maybe. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, it's going to get to that point, it's...
Yeah. And, I think you touched on it earlier about how much they're actually going to put out. It's just probably going to be like Batman, Superman, Justice League. There is truth in that because you look at who they got rid of and it's all their top editors.
Yep.
Editors that have been there for 20 years plus are now gone. And if you don't have an editor, you can't put out a book.
Yeah.
So if the majority of their editors are gone, majority of their titles are going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Jerry Conway had a really... You could class it as a bit of fear-mongering, but Jerry Conway's a bit of a savvy guy. He's been in this industry for decades.
Yeah, yes.
And he's saying... Or he's speculating, I should say, that, if this carries on going the way it is, DC will just go to what little monthlies they have will all be digital, and the physical stuff will be your hard covers and your trades. And then when you get to that point, Marvel's going to have 90% of the the market share.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to that point, your local comic shops are screwed.
Yeah, it's.
And when they're screwed, the whole industry's screwed.
And
so it's AT&T's on a very rocky bit here to collapse in the industry as a whole.
Exactly. And comic book, shops have been struggling for 20 years now, unless you're a big midtown or something. So again, it's the future for comics and everything is not looking bright. And I think, you sort of get the hint of that everywhere. And this is going to be a major shakeup and change and everything. And it's really sad for me to see it go this way, because it's like,
oh yeah,
it's, again, I don't read everything Marvel and DC, but what I read, I tend to really enjoy and love. And the fact that I know many people that I've met through this podcast and stuff that are artists or writers and stuff, they're effectively going to be jobless.
Yeah,
That's,
And the worst bit is, it wasn't even necessarily, like, it might have happened regardless, because there's talk about how they haven't really recovered after splitting with Diamond because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And apparently their monthlies have tanked without them and being with two separate distributors or whatever the hell Diamond is. I can't remember. Yeah, it is distribution.
Yeah, distribution.
Yeah. Apparently they haven't been doing great on that. So I think it was going to happen regardless, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But they need personally, they need to get away from AT&T. And now people are like, but AT&T own them, they can't just walk away. It's like, there tends to be some clauses about if an owner is like purposely tanking a company, you can like get away, and there's like get out clauses. There's always something like that in there. So hopefully they can, because it ain't great for them at the minute.
I mean, the dream scenario would be they break off and independently start a studio, aka Marvel Studios, or somebody offers a big enough buyout of the DC Comics assets, like a Universal or a Sony or something, and they get their own comic company or an Amazon or Apple or anything, somebody that can sustain it. Because, and I think if somebody was to make a sizable enough offer, I think they would take it immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Being 200 billion in debt, they're selling Crunchyroll. Massive mistake.
Yes, it is.
Massive mistake on their part. Fantastic for everyone else, because Sony apparently wants it for like 1.5 billion. Which, if that happens, that means that Crunchyroll and Funimation back together again, everyone wins. But that's a very niche market. That's probably more niche than like DC as a whole. But DC, AT&T knows there's value in the IP. That's all they care about. They don't care about what's being put out. They just care that they have the rights to that IP.
Yeah.
But so give them enough money, I imagine. That I can't see them turning it down. Not when you're that much in debt.
Yeah, exactly. It
just depends how much they'd want for it. Really.
Yeah, I assume they would ask a pretty penny for it, and then you could be talked the other way, because they're going to ask for the max amount that they think they can get, and somebody will, wheedle them down into an acceptable range. So it'll go one way or another. We don't know how this is going to affect TV at all, because, again, like, there's been position changes and stuff. I'm assuming if we hear any TV effects from this, it'll be about a year from now, because it's going to take a little bit of time to get to that point. So, again, we don't know. And luckily, like, CW is very profitable for DC and AT&T, because they produce $1 billion in revenue every year. So that's impressive for a station that, like, does it on the cheap, so... Pretty good.
Very much on the cheap.
Yeah.
Very much. And no, it shows you how little AT&T actually give a damn when fandom is literally right around the corner. This whole massive celebration of everything, there's even Mortal Kombat teasers in there. And it's just like, oh yeah, just gut the hell out of that thing.
Yep.
It's like, oh no.
Guess what? These comic event reveals we're going to reveal that are in the final stages, chances are the people behind them have been fired. Enjoy.
They have, yeah. Like, they were supposed to be a DC fandom, but they ain't going to be now, are they? Because it was immediate effect. So, and you're going to see an immediate effect in the publishing line, because they can't put out those books.
Exactly.
You're going to see sweeping cancellations.
Whatever happened to 5G?
Oh, well, you see, when the Dio got turfed out, that went with it.
Because I feel like the moment, and I think we talked about this even when DiDio was given the boot, sort of. We said, oh, something big's happening over there, and it's going to ripple effect. And now we kind of see it as a good. If they got rid of him, now you connect the dots. You're like, oh, wow, we should have just literally seen that this was going to happen. And fair enough, there was reports as far back as last November, December, of AT&T, WB looking to sell off DC Comics assets. And everybody was like, no, that's not going to happen. That's a lot. No.
Well, guess what? They will. I bet you they will. Even though it was kind of weird to gut the thing and then try and sell it off. But, I don't know.
They're just going to be like, we're keeping Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. We'll sell everybody else.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
They'll pull a Marvel. They'll sell what they, can off to other studios in the next couple of years, and they'll just keep what they can make money on, and they'll go into the Marvel situation in the late 90s, which that might actually benefit everybody in the long run. I know it's crazy to say, but that might actually be beneficial.
It benefited Marvel in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I guess...
It took 20 years, but it benefited.
Exactly. It's a slow
burn. Entire generation to actually reap the benefits, but it did benefit.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's a sad time, especially for the comic side, because they shouldn't be in that situation whatsoever. The pandemic hasn't helped anyone.
Nope.
And it feels like AT&T, they're a tech company. They have no idea how to run entertainment.
Exactly. It's... I guess probably by next week we'll have more updates, I'm assuming, so we'll talk more about it there when more hits, I guess.